going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Kevin Jackwitz. This is the Kaged Review, and this is a spoiler review for Hellboy. If you caught my non-spoiler review, you know I didn't think too highly of this movie. And it only gets worse, I'm going to be honest. So I'm going to start this particular review out with some specifics as far as like lines that were just horrible, like just god-awful. And you have Sasha Lane, who plays Alice in this movie. And some of her lines were okay, you know, there was nothing really necessarily good or bad about them. But some lines just came across as so generic and cheesy and fake. And I don't know if it's the bad writing plus bad acting, but it was just brutal. And there was another flashback scene where they were showing, you know, the creation or the summoning of Hellboy. And you have Thomas Hayden Church, who plays Lobster Johnson. And holy shit, everything he did, literally every line was bad. But one of the worst was the very first line he has in this movie. And so there's a bunch of Nazis, there's a little fight, and then Lobster Johnson pops up out of nowhere and he goes, "Guten Tag." And the delivery was such that literally everybody in the back row that I saw, as far down as we could go, we were all just stopped. Like people that didn't know each other, we're just looking at each other like, did that really just happen? Was that really intentionally put into this movie? It was the worst delivery I've ever seen. And pretty much everything from Lobster Johnson, Thomas Hayden Church, was bad. And I mean really bad. So, you have horrible writing, you have no continuity, you have line delivery that is cringeworthy at the best. So let's talk about the continuity part for a second. There is a scene, okay, give you a little backstory in the movie, where Mila Jovovich's character is cut apart, cut into pieces, and the pieces sent to different parts of the world. Well, there's this guy who's going around and gathering the pieces of Nimu to put her back together. She's put back together, and then she's supposed to draw blood out of a tree. It's the blood she kind of put into this tree when she was killed. And so, you get this moment, you have this beautiful sweeping landscape of this city as she's going up to this tree up on a really tall hill. And you see the lights in the city and things going on, and then you do the close-up, she pulls the blood out. You pan back out, the city is completely gone. And people were literally laughing out loud in the theater because they made it so obvious. Like, people are looking at this and being like, did they not pay attention to their own movie? Like, they just had a city down here, what happened to this entire scene? It's suddenly rocky terrain with a bunch of demons climbing up the mountain. It made no sense. It was just so bad. And so really the only saving graces for this movie, David Harbour, who I absolutely feel terrible for because I really wanted this movie to do good. He does do good in the movie. Even with some of the shittiest material you can possibly get, David Harbour is a good actor. You see it in Stranger Things. You actually see it here. It just baffles me that they didn't spend more time with the rest of this movie. So, I really wanted this to do good. This was just a bad choice for him as an actor to take on this movie because it was such garbage. So, Mila Jovovich, she really tries with her lines. I talked about that in the non-spoiler. She's really good. She's never going to be an Oscar winner, but she's good at her role. She does very well, I think. Daniel Day Kim, you know, I'll be honest, the controversy of having an actual Oriental play this role, I don't know that I get caught up in it like other people do, and I think it's stupid in a lot of ways. I think at the end of the day, they should have kept Ed Skrein, or Skrein, however you say it. He's a better actor. He has way better line delivery, and it just would have been a better role. So at the end of the day, I really don't give a shit about the authenticity if the ability isn't there, if you understand what I'm saying. If there's no ability, it's just going to take away from the movie. And this guy wasn't terrible, don't get me wrong. He actually had some good moments in the movie, but overall, it was severely lacking compared to what I've seen Ed Skrein do in other roles. Um, so the basic concept here is you have three main villains, two kind of lower, um, not necessarily as important villains in Nemu, who is the Blood Queen, and it really doesn't give a whole lot of reason as to why people are doing what they're doing. It just, seems to have issue with Hellboy. One guy who looks like Bebop from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, he was exiled to hell, so he's got a gripe with Hellboy. Um, but that's it. They don't really dig in too far with everything. I think one of the biggest moments is you find out that Hellboy is a descendant of King Arthur, and I don't really understand why that, how I don't know. But, so, he goes and grabs Excalibur, and it gives him this power that it opens up hell. And so you have this big penultimate moment toward the end of the movie where he grabs Excalibur, he pulls it out, and all these demons come up to Earth. And this is where they go very Silent Hill. You have all these demons, they grabbing people, they're killing them in some just absolutely brutal ways. I mean, but it's grabbing random citizens, killing them, just showing what hell would be like on Earth. I mean, it's gore for gore's sake. It does nothing for the plot of the movie. It really does nothing for the movie at all. It just keeps that hard R rating. Gives people the gore that they're looking for if you're looking for stuff like that. But this is Hellboy. It's not Silent Hill. It lent nothing to what was happening around. Honestly, it really did not. And that was like one of the big moments in the movie that had zero importance to the rest of the story. It just didn't. So everything was just poorly done. I talked to the non-spoiler review. If you didn't see that, I'll touch on things really quick. Terrible writing, terrible line delivery, terrible continuity. There is not much redeeming about this at all, except for the two main actors. And that's it. It was kind of poorly done CGI at times. They did a lot of violence for violence sake, but didn't add anything really. I mean, it was just a poorly done movie. And so I think I gave this a 3 out of 10, and I'm going to stick with that. And, might have maybe even been a 2.5. I mean, it's just a bad movie. And the funny thing is, like, there's so many times I'm watching critics or, reviewers on YouTube that really pick apart movies. They really get into the cinematography. They get into the writing way more than I do. And they have problems with a lot of things that I just kind of overlook, and I'm like, okay, whatever. It's not that big of a deal to me. But this was just bad. I don't pick apart movies, but this, you could not help but just be like, what were they thinking? And that's where I'm at. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'll stick with the 3 out of 10. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. If you enjoyed this, hit the like button, subscribe, share. Help a brother out. My name is Kevin Jackwitz. Kaged Nation out.